Hey Axis and Allies players, a good captain here, and welcome to round 3. We'll start by reviewing what Russia did on its turn, and then do Germany's turn. So, the Russians purchased a fighter, which we kind of expected, and then they built 7 infantry. I'm not sure what the most appropriate ratio of arty to infantry is for each country or each situation, or in general even. Still kind of not sure on that. But I feel like if you were going to have, for some reason my instinct is if you were going to have artillery, now would have been the time to buy some as the Russian player. He's got 46 infantry on the board, and then he's going to add 7 more, and he's only got 13, so it's more than 5 to 1 at the end of the turn. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So his moves, he moves his Sevastopol infantry into Romania, so he makes a bid for Romania, another infantry from Ukraine, and 1 artillery from Ukraine. He puts a blocker in Livonia from Moscow, and same for Belarus. Brings up his fighters. Oh no, 1 fighter in infantry and does that. Oh, okay, yeah, he stacks up Belarus. Right. Okay, so here again we see this kind of a clearance operation. I get the idea. There's basically a 5 in 6 chance he takes this territory. There's a 1 in 6 chance that a draw gets created. So this is like the Italy 2.0 situation. And in this situation, you know, I rolled a 1. See, nobody hits. He shot. He needed 2 at 3 or 1 at 2, and then I shot and missed. So everybody missed, and now we have a stalemate. So he didn't get his payout, but he didn't lose anything either. And that is that, you know, when you send an arty and 2 infantry into a territory to clear a blocker, you have a 1 in 6 chance of having this happen. And so we have 3 battles so far. And what is that, like a slightly less than 50% chance that we would see one. And so, you know, but we saw one. So if you keep doing it, it'll eventually happen. And it looks like it happened here. Good luck for us. Okay. Combat move. Yeah, he ran through the mines. Of course, and my luck as the CP with these, not only the Ottoman mines, but the Ottoman cruisers. They, you know, it's in their favor. You know, 2 fighters attacking 2 tanks with an AA gun. That's not a 50-50. Here we have a 1940 Axis and Allies anniversary 1941 setup here, but just used the battle calculator so I could show you. So check this out. Essentially what you have when the Russians attack those 2 Ottoman cruisers is you have 2 3 attackers attacking 2 3 defenders and an AA gun. Mines are just AAs of the sea, right? So what is that? Fought on to its infinite conclusion. The attacker wins 30% of the time. That's to say the Russians. And the defender wins 70% of the time. Now, I think this is somewhere, I haven't played quite 10 games yet, but I think in 6 or 7 of the games, it's been the Russians who take the win. Yeah, so this isn't really that accurate because there's the TOV swing's not accurate because these aren't the actual values of the units in the game. But you could say the attacker win, the defender win, that probability is true. And yes, I know I used the cruisers the Ottoman cruisers long ago, but anyway, mines both miss, not a big deal. Okay, place units. I just thought that'd be a fun statistic to go over. And he drops everything in Moscow because he has to. Turn complete. Russians end with 22. Okay. So show current game. We will be able to repair our damaged battleship this turn. First, our purchases. We have a nice 45 IPC income. And I think I'm going to go ahead and buy a battery of artillery. So when I buy my artillery site, I usually like to buy 1 to clean up an extra IPC, or buy 3 because you know, the best number to have in terms of IPCs is a number divisible by 3 because all unit values are divisible by 3 except artillery. Doesn't mean you should spend every IPC every turn, but this is the selection I'm going with. I might talk more about this selection later, but that's what I'm going with. All right, combat move. Okay, I'm still not clear what the best way to dance on the East Front is. As the CP, it's not as clear. It's a little easier as the Entente. I feel like the 2 games I've played where I'm the Entente, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do this or I could do that, not too bad, but it feels like the margin for error is really low on this side of the fence, and it's still not clear to me what the most efficient play is, but that's why I play as many games as I can. Usually after 30 games, you can start to see what the best moves are, and I'm sure that the best moves on this area of the board will materialize between 30 and 50 games. There are ways of playing Axis and Allies, and then there are usually better ways, and the way to figure out what the better ways are just repeatedly play over and over and over again, and that way there's no surprises, and when there's no surprises, you generally, what works best surfaces to the top. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so what we are going to do here, we could go Livonia and move adjacent to his capital, and one of the things I kind of had in my head was that, Germany goes Livonia, the Austro-Hungarians move Ukraine, right, move their battle group to Ukraine, and the Russians would then ostensibly fall back to Moscow to defend their capital, because you have these 2 groups. Because if you go like if the Russians jump on one army, then the Germans or the Austrians could take the capital, right? Because now, anyway, long story short, I'm not thinking that's the best thing to do. It's I don't know how to talk about this quite yet, so maybe it's best to just not talk about it in detail. I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to try putting my armies on top of each other. Move the German army in here. Move 1 infantry into Galicia for reasons that will become apparent momentarily. We move these 4 into Poland, and I do not feel like the Russians are going to kill these guys. Yes, it's a very weak army exposed, but with the 2 armies on top of each other in Ukraine adjacent to Moscow, I suspect this army will fall back into Moscow. So that's what I kind of want to set up this tactical situation and see if there's any fruits that develop from this, because I haven't tried it yet. So anyway, I will continue. We're going to send both fighters to Galicia. If I put them in Poland, that would probably be a good reason to go in there and smash all those pieces. But Galicia, with its now 1 German infantry, making this a legal move, we still have range out to Livonia, Belarus, Moscow, Ukraine, Tatarstan, and Sevastopol. So this looks good. He also would have to build 2 fighters just to have parity against the German Air Force, to say nothing of the Ottomans. Okay, so that's that. Let's do the West. Let's do Africa, because I always forget Africa, or not always, but I hate to think that I would forget Africa. And I've studied this situation a lot. I don't know how to feel about how much he committed in terms of the French down here. Obviously, our days in Africa are very numbered. I'm also very happy that so many French are down here. It means that they are not up in France, and less units in France is a good thing. I try to see the glass half full. So yeah, we could go Southwest Africa, but really he could take all 3 of these transports, load up 6 units, and then shell and smother the Southwest Africa territory, and then take Angola and Union of South Africa, with the British for nothing, and then he's in a decent position to jet back with his transports and all those units to this area of the board. I think it's a 2-turn relocation. He goes 1, 2, and then 1, 2. He's in Mediterranean, or he's up here in the Atlantic. So French transports aren't that interesting, but I'm interested in mobility, killing as many units as for as long as I can. And I like this move, and I'm going to settle on this because, yes, he could take Angola's gone. Nigeria is going to is in the nutcracker here. But to get Southwest Africa, he has to dispense with one of his transports. In other words, the maximum amount of units to expect the French to hit me with is 4 now that I've moved here. I expect to be hit by 4 French units maximum. If he wants to grab up all these territories and reduce Germany's IPCs, that would be the best thing to do. If he moves his transport fleet down here and hits me with 6, I'm okay with that too. It means Southwest Africa survives for another turn, and his transports are in the southernmost tip of the map, right? They're the most out of position they could possibly be. And it's, these are small potatoes to be sure, but obviously the CP really can't leave anything unaccounted for. So after much thought, that's the decision down there, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not preaching the gospel or anything. I'm just screwing around here. Still in the testing phase. Now, what I've decided to do on the West Front, knowing that he's committed quite a large chunk of his French army to Africa, and he still has 2 infantries out of place in the west end of the Mediterranean, it's about as light as France can be. So I'm going to try to ramp up the pressure and stack heavy Belgium. Now, one drawback to this, and the thing that I'm most worried about, is Lorraine going Switzerland. He moves Lorraine into Switzerland, smashes Switzerland, and then he's 2 spaces away from my capital in Vienna. However, if he does that, one of them, it is just basically a mandatory move. I stack Tyrolia with the Austro-Hungarians and leave a blocker in Trieste, and then I have to retrograde my German army into Alsace. That's just what would have to happen. Really, there's not much to do or say about it. But at least this way, we're pulling IPCs off the board. We're denying IPCs to our enemy, and the more I play this game, the more I think that that's probably the best thing to do is the CP. Again, always leaving my mind open to being changed. But anyway, I'm going to send 2 of the 9 placements from last turn into the West Front, and the other 7 are going to the East Front. And then, of course, we'll move the Navy that has now repaired itself into this zone here. The assault against us, if he did, it would have to be sort of this uncoordinated windmill attack, right? He'd have to send the French battleship and cruiser to their deaths to do a little bit of damage. Battle calculator says we end up eating a hit and probably lose a sub. Then if he sends the Brits in, that also goes our way, and of course we'll be degraded to almost nothing by then, and then Russian battleship could finish us off. But it's not a sure thing. So I'm not going to go through all the stats of that. It's relatively boring. This is pretty much it. This is what I've pretty much settled on. Again, cutting it close here, but I gotta figure out where the CP can make reliable gains game to game. So perhaps being a little bit aggressive over here or everywhere in the beginning will be that. Could help rebalance things. But anyway, I'll keep going on and on about that. Alright, so that's that. I'm expecting to lose 2 pieces. There's 3 French and 1 Russian, so between those, that's 4 pieces. Expected losses are 2. I just hope not 3, and really hope not 4. So, yep. Belgium first, that's a smash. It's just really a question of losses. Okay, so he's down 1 over there, or down half a kill over here. And he rolled -1 overall. Okay, so decent turn. Let's just drop in the placements. Okay. Collect 43. So not too bad. We had 45 from last turn, 43 now. We gotta keep it high. So anyway. Yeah, so 2 fighters, obviously we need to keep the German Air Force strong, and once Russia's down, we will transfer this air fleet over to the west, and hopefully we won't have to, make these expensive purchases. Of course, you can get into an arms race and run away, and again, I'm not certain what the effect air power has. If we focused on building artilleries and infantries, as I know my friend Brett that I'm playing feels that way. So, you could be right. I don't know. For now, I'm just doing this. Okay. getting all talky. So thanks for watching this. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.